I'm Davey Paul.
And I'm his mate from Sunderland.
And you are listening to the Wrong Bias podcast.
And on our first show of 2023, we are joined by the new indoor world champion, Mr. Malibu and Milk himself, Mr. Jamie Walker. We also catch up with our old mucker, Mr. Paul Hartley, on his first Potters experience. Thanks go to XX20 for their continued sponsorship of the podcast competition. Right, mate, here we are, show number 47, I'm led to believe, and our great Potters adventure, mate.
Good, wasn't it?
Yeah, really enjoyed it, mate. If anybody hasn't been to before, I can recommend going down, see if you can get a 4-day thing for the World Bowls. My first visit, the arena, walking in on the Friday night. I know you were already down a couple of days. It looked tiny, sitting at the back watching the game. You could hear them steps, they're coming up and down them steps, clippity-clop, like I got on the commentary. Then one set each, and everybody's starting to go out, and I'm going, what's going on here? 9 o'clock. Jason's right, scribbling away these bit paper. Bingo, bingo. He's ripping it up and chucking it in the air.
Great experience, and I love it down there. I love just the whole aura. I think that's the best word to use. It's just an aura when you're there, which is nice to be a part of. It was great to have you down there this year.
Yeah, it's like a bubble, isn't it? You're in a bubble for, I mean, to stop down for 17 days, I think I come back about 6 stone every year. I mean, the full English breakfast, the 3-course meals, the Peronis, the cappuccinos, you bloody dabbling in, what was it, hot apple spice drinks.
Tremendous.
12 o'clock at night. I'm going, what's going on? They only ever sold 3, and I think they were all to you.
Great, because you chuckle sometimes, because you look at some of the players, you swear that they're going up in size every game you watch. They come on and you go, been having a few of the 3-course meals there.
There's an extra X on the shirts as they go up every few days later.
Well, I mean, obviously we are the presenters and we are the ones who dig into all of this. So Jamie Walker's definitely got to be asked that question, because I swear he got bigger by the round.
Oh, when he comes on, mate, when he's getting it. He's getting it when he comes on.
The fact he was in from the pairs all the way through to the final, I'm telling you, he must have put about a stone and a half on.
Well, there was one story from the steward. I mean, the called the blue coats, and then they sort of like into the stadium anyway. I was getting taught to them one, and I says, "My God, I'm really kind of taking another full English. It's killing me, this." And he says, "Well, you didn't have to have them, son." I says, but I feel as if I've got to take a one for the team." And as quick as a flash, he turned round. You know what he said? He says, "Well, it looks like you've took quite a few for the team, son." I could have grabbed his stick and ran off with it.
I mean, give the bloke his due, like, because if I'd heard you say it, I would have said exactly the same thing. Like,
it was quick as a cat. Was it? Well, fair enough, son. It's just not right if you didn't utilise the all-inclusive side of the business, isn't it?
Definitely.
And we did get the opportunity to do a little bit commentating, mate.
Did?
But I made my debut with Graham Irvin Cole, who looked at us and said, "Who's this fella sitting next to me here?" Yeah. And then we got on together, mate. They let us loose.
Great, lovely guy, Graham. Really, really nice guy. And there was a lot of variation in the commentary. Another tick in the box on that one. I think that was a
and you're never going to please anybody commentating. I've realised that. You sort of like, some people will enjoy it, other people will just call us the hairy bowlers of the north, apparently.
Who do they think these are? Like this Indian commentary, the hairy bikers of bowls.
Yeah.
It's like everything, Rich, we've talked about it before, and doesn't matter how good things are or what happens or what it is, there's just people on there who just love to go on and twist.
Yeah.
They just twist, and they've got no idea what they're talking about. You look at them and you just go, "Why? Just shut up. Just shut up," because you're making yourself look like a fool. It's par for the course. It's par for social media. People love to get on there and think they're clever and think they're big by going on there and tapping the keyboard as hard as they can to try and get a point. But
there was a couple of things that I picked up on. The creaking boards It was funny because actually you couldn't really hear it when you were sitting in the stands.
Yeah.
The only reason that you could hear it on the telly was because they had the mics down at green level,
Yeah.
and might be something to look at just to turn them down or turn the volume or move them further away. And my old favourite as well, the coughing. By giddy ants, there's some coughs going on in that bloody auditorium, mate.
I suppose it's like everything, isn't it? It's like it doesn't matter what age demographic you've got in there, and we know it's a higher demographic because of the where the tournament is, etc. And it's that type of setup. But the way the whole setup is at the moment, it doesn't matter who's in there. You're always going to hear somebody who's got a cold or
rustling your sweets and what have you. But I've seen us a bit of a side market, mate. We're going to sell Wrong Bias boiled sweets, mate. I think that'll sort that up. That'll sort that coffin out, mate. We've got a bit of a sideline. More merchandise coming our way. Quick shout out to the umpires. Umpires did a great job. They're only human. They may make a mistake here or there. Think before you jump on your keyboards.
It's the same in any sport at the end of the day, but those guys are very much under the microscope because it's quite a precise, especially the measuring and whatever it is, and the graft and the time and the commitment that they put in to actually be there.
Yeah.
If you're only making one or two mistakes a year, then you're a top umpire as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And before we move on to your singles, a couple of things. We found the snooker tables. I'm actually going to be called in off the Red Mackay. And you're just going to smash them around, mate. You just crack them in the pockets.
I tried not to demoralise you too much. I obviously missed the black for the 147 on purpose. So
that's right, mate. Yeah, and I'm sure the old fella that was playing next to us will get that bit of fragment of the pink out of his eye. After you absolutely wellied it into the pocket. And also, if anybody hasn't seen the Davies table tennis game against Sammy Tulshaw at the end of it, I can recommend you looking at it because it is what happened next moment.
Oh, that was great. Really great.
Really great. Anyway, turn to your singles, mate. It would be remiss of us not to speak about it. You got, obviously, Stewie Anderson again. You played him up at Scotland. Narrowly missed out on the tie breaks. It was always going to be a tough game for you, mate. You know what he's like down there. And again, there was nothing between you, mate. Maybe just a couple of ends, maybe.
I said it in the interview after one silly mistake I made in the first set, which potentially cost us possibly a draw or even maybe sneak in the set. I went down there, and the last thing you want to do is come away and not have played well. I was frustrated in a different way. I was frustrated at the fact that I played well. The hardest part is, anybody who doesn't know Stu, I said after the game, it's not as if I could even call him multiple names because he's just such a nice lad and all. I've got a lot of time for Stuart, and he was very, complimentary after the game, and it was a battle. And the nice comment he made in a weird way in his interview after is he said that he was nervous before the game, which wasn't like him, which was, hopefully it was either the fact that he's thinking about the game or whatever it was, but I never had Stu down as a nervous type of lad, but no, all in all, happy to an extent. Let's put it that way.
Aye. Well, my overall experience out of 10, I'll give it a 10 plus. Many thanks to yourself and Paul for inviting us down to enjoy the 5-6 days that we had. No
need to thank us, man. It's really appreciated to have some familiar faces there supporting us, mate. So it was much appreciated. Right then, so for his first ever appearance, not that he's mentioned it about 100 times about coming on the podcast, but Hartley, my partner in crime from Potters. We've had a couple on in the past who've had that first experience down there, so we thought we'd get you on and you can give everybody a bit of an insight as to all the emotions you went through and what it was all about.
Well, first of all, thanks for inviting us eventually.
Right. I mean, to be fair to us, we had to wait for something that was worth you getting on, right?
Yeah, whatever.
Whatever. Move along.
I mean, Potters was just the best experience I've ever had in my life, really, mate. Balls-wise, that few days we were down there together, mate, it was just, I just loved it. Absolutely loved it. And it's first time there, but I would love to think it's not my last time there.
Let's try and dig into everybody out there who's never been before, obviously, and never had the opportunity to go. Let's start from scratch. Obviously, you've qualified, you're over the mound. What was the lead up in that last few days before you went down? What was the thoughts going through your mind?
Well, truthfully, I was quite calm. It was you keep winding us up.
Hey, who me?
Then so will you get on? on your first ball and you drop it and it flies out your hand and all that. And it was like I was quite calm going down. I think because we were together, it helped. I must admit. I think if I was there on my own first time, I think it would have been a little bit like overawed. I presume I don't know. First time with a mate, we just had a good laugh. We absolutely had like 4 or 5 days and just laughed and joked and enjoyed the games. Could we have done better? I don't know. Fractions, wasn't it? It was just Nicky and Brett were brilliant, so fair play to them. They've won it. So
you can always say you got beat off the winners.
I mean, just the journey down. It just seems to take ages and ages to get there. I mean, and it's like the journey down. We just took our time. We got there and had a look around. I see, you both of them knew me dad well, but he always wanted to go because I remember. I think he took me when it. Remember, what was it? Preston? Was it Preston Guildhall?
Yeah. Guildhall, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was John Price versus Schubert, and he took me there when I was a young'un, and it was great. Loved it. And then when I went to Potters, he was like, should we go down, get tickets and we'll go down? And like by this time I was more serious at balls, and I was like, to be honest, Dad, no, I didn't want to go. If I'm going down, I want to go and play, not to watch somebody play. If that might I don't know what it sounds like, but that was what I always felt. So thankfully, unfortunately he wasn't there, but I now find he would have been loving it getting there, and the experience was outstanding. Like I would say to anybody, if they do get the chance to go, get yourself there, because 5-star treatment, they look after you, the food's amazing, and the drink. It's just an excellent facility. You know what I mean? Brilliant. I mean, I know there's loads of people saying, "Oh, can they not move a better position?" Before I've gone, I probably would have said, "I would be better if it was in the middle of the country or somewhere." Do you know what I mean? Now that I've been, definitely not. It's got to stay there, as far as I'm concerned.
So a few years ago, we talked about, I think it was with Kevin Harrison when he was on the podcast, and there was a bit of a discussion around new players getting there and maybe just not knowing the ropes and not necessarily not being made welcome, but feeling as if you're a little bit of an outsider. Did you get that feeling at any point?
Truthfully, no, not like I say, probably because I was with you, and obviously, I mean, there's quite a few lads because I've been around the scene now and again, knocking around for a few years now. I think I knew majority of the lads that was there anyway. The overseas lads was very, very welcome. I mean, I remember when the first night we were there, David, our opponent came over straight away and said, "You're playing us on Friday or Saturday," and he introduced himself, and it was just really good atmosphere with all the players, and loved it. Night we had a couple of days of practice and got ready for the game.
Do you think it was a benefit to go down a couple of days early, Paul, to get onto the rink?
I'm pleased we did. We managed to got half an hour on the Wednesday, and then we got 2 half-an-hour sessions on the Thursday, so it was good. Yeah, I mean that first half an hour just walking into the arena. Do you know what I mean? Even when it was empty, it's like, oh my word. Do you know what I mean? It is a bit daunting at first, but once you get into it, and once the game started, to be fair, that first day when the game was on, I was like waiting around the back, and I mean the 2 lads, Frank and Scotty, who we played the first game, really felt for Frank because you could just tell he was nervous, and I just thought to myself, well, I'm not as bad as him, I know that.
Was the 7-second intake of breath before his first ball a giveaway?
That's it. He had the jack in his hand and he's like big breathing, and I was thinking, right, I'm okay. If he's like that, I'm okay.
I felt for him because, like I said, it is, if it's especially for those lads from the USA, it's like coming across. They've never played on an indoor before, and all of their greens are like outdoor synthetic or whatever out there, and then all of a sudden you've got stacks of people like right on top of you watching what you're doing with your balls. And
to be fair, when it goes really quiet, you can understand why. I mean, I've never been one for getting put off with somebody coughing or moving or anything like that. It's never ever bothered us. But you can understand when it goes like so quiet, you can hear a pin drop. You can understand it. I mean, you know, some of them do probably milk it a little bit, but it is now and again. I was happy sometimes when the crowd was clapping my opponent's ball, because I was just getting on the mat and just bowling my ball before they'd even stopped clapping. Do you know what I mean? Just crack on.
First ball was a good one anyway, mate, wasn't it? So that'll have calmed you.
I can't remember now, mate.
I remember. Oh, it was a good one, mate. Davey clapped you. I don't know why he was clapping you, because you got the little disc on the inside and it managed to come out your hand.
Yeah. I was just hoping plays no bounces.
I was staging my whole tournament on my bounces, man. It was that quick.
Oh, unbelievable. Honestly, yes, I've never been anything as quick as that before. It was something like 9.5 seconds, I think, the first game. I felt even faster, to be fair.
Malayu was down supporting us as well. We'd both worked out. If it was 1 bounce, I was flying. 2 bounces, I was pretty good. 3 bounces, I was short. I was quite happy that quick mention for John Wilson, who came along. Obviously, the bouncing bombs, but credit to John as well for obviously raising that money for charity and coming on and just showing a bit of character and a little bit of personality and something different. So credit to the lad. One thing that does stick out as well when you get down there for the first time is actually seeing all of the work that goes on. That was sort of part of my question about previously you would get there and there wasn't really anybody to show you the ropes or anything like that. But you see all the work that goes on behind the scenes with Tom upstairs and Martin and Jason and Graham, who was on commentary. And then you've got Anne Dunwoody running about left, right and centre. And, you see we get in there and we have a bit of practice and we're watching the games and you look up in the windows and she's there from like 9 o'clock in the morning after breakfast and she's still cracking in there at 10:45 at night.
I say you don't appreciate how much work they do. Do you know what I mean? Until you actually see them there. I mean, Jason, the way, I mean, not just Jason, all of them really, but they've totally turned the PBAs around. Fantastic. Can't praise them high enough for what they've done, and long may it continue. But when you're there and you see them, they're up in that top room there. I don't know, it's a 16-hour day thing probably.
I don't know if I missed them out there. There's Gordon as well. I don't want to miss anybody because the team just works so well. But if there's anybody out there who doesn't see what's happened this year and think to themselves, I want to go in the PBAs and have a go, then it'll never ever happen.
To be fair, Jimmy and Jason, they literally just set the bar for all the PBA qualifiers. They look at this is what you can do. That year when Kev qualified, he beat me in the final at Carlisle qualifier, where I'd already, and the next day I'd lost to Julian Lorna in the pairs qualifier. The week after, I lost to John Carswell in the Scottish Open qualifier, and for a week it was just the worst. The best and the worst of balls, really. Got to be lucky enough to get through, and then once you're through, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, definitely. And like I say, we've talked a lot in the past, and we've said that there's massive progress being made, and the provisional rankings, we've just been discussing them, and you've got Jamie has gone in at number 10 now, so he's broken into the top 16, and you've Jason who's joined 16th. So and that's current for the season, obviously. And dependent on whether there's any more tournaments for the season, which potentially might be the UK Open. But yeah, so two lads there, they've gone through the qualifying stages, played really, really well. Things have all gone their way, and then they've broken pretty much into the top 16. If the quality of the qualifiers that are getting through now are on a par with the seeds, and there's very few easy games down there now.
And there'll be more from Paul later in the show.
So here we are. Got royalty on the show, so we've managed to get Mr. Jamie Walker, who many of you will have seen has just banged the old World Championship in there, just to add to his ever-grown bulging career of wins. Congratulations, Mr. Walker, and welcome to the podcast.
Cheers, thanks a lot. Thanks, guys.
So, I mean, the most important question is, how big do your bollocks feel right now? Cut that out.
Leave it in, you. Come on.
How does it feel, mate? How does it feel?
Yes, delighted, obviously. Been an interesting week this week, obviously, after getting back on Monday morning with a slightly sore head and getting through all the thank yous and all the messages I got from guys. Like the phone had a bit of a meltdown Sunday. Just a lot of relief. I mean, you sort of get caught up in the whole rigmarole of it. You're not really got time to think about it too much, because we played Thursday, quarterfinals Friday. You get into a routine of play the game. Obviously, if you're successful, you're just sort of trying to prepare for the next one. You don't really get time to dwell too much on the games that have gone through. Obviously, this week, had a bit of time to reflect and stuff. Yeah, it's been just delighted with the outcome. Obviously, you think back for all the years that competition's been going, the really good players who have been there, and I had my chance last year getting through and losing in the first game, but yeah, just over the moon.
I'm going to take you back to that, actually, because obviously that we were both down there last year, and obviously your first game was against Jamie Chesney, and I would sort of say in a lot of ways you've got two similar styles of play. You don't let anything lie, and obviously you got down there and played Jamie, and did you take a lot from that first?
Huge. Like, I didn't know any of how the setup was there. Obviously, that was the first one. I've always been to Potters before, but I've never been there when the portable rink set up with the stands and how the whole sort of process of the competition works as such. Probably a bit naive in the fact of, like, when we were booking rink practice sessions when I played last year with Jamie. Like, I rocked up late at night, had to go, thought it was fine. I'd only got rinks booked like late at night the following day. Practice really good. Then you come to play at 7 o'clock. There's loads of people in there. It's about 10 degrees warmer. It was like, well, this is not what I've been practicing on. And you get behind, as I did the first set. I remember against Jamie, I think I was 5-0 down after two end, and it's just you're chasing the game. Like the rink's not playing how we've practiced. Do you know what I mean? But this year was completely different. Obviously, being there in the pairs and getting better booking better practice slots and having a few games in the pairs, like there's just a massive difference. Like that carpet is like no other carpet you'll ever play on. It plays different to any rink. There's no rink you've ever played on at a club that's like it. So the only way you're going to get used to it is by playing more games on it. So that definitely helped this year. Obviously, the games in the pairs leading up to the singles was a massive advantage. But I think on there, you've just got to. What I took away from playing Jamie last year is watching his runners.
Yeah,
is the big thing I took away from there. Whereas you can just go hard down the middle, but there I think you've got to play the way sort of him and Nicky play them, where you're not flat out, you're giving it a chance, and that all the hands want to bend for you. I think that's the biggest thing I took away from last year and tried to put that into how I played this year.
It's funny you say that, Jamie, because I must admit there was times watching you through some of the games where I expected you to go quicker and you didn't. And it was like that, Sean, and that was one of the things I was going to ask, was that one of the things that you took away from last year as to, what you've gone into this year and changed as part of your setup into going into the tournament? And that stuck out like a sore thumb for me. I thought you played a lot of like constructive time and balls, so to speak. But as we've said loads of times before, you can't play the clever shots because they either stick or they go. You just seem to have that middle runner, which works straight for you all the way through.
Yeah, I feel like that was definitely in my mind to go in there. Like you've got to be able to hit on there because the players you're playing against are so good. They're going to have ends when they pack bowls in the head. So I was conscious that was the way I was going to play the runners after watching Nicky play that way for so long and Jamie. Obviously, you are going to miss sometimes playing that because you are letting the bowl bend and there's more margin for error. But I feel like that way also you give yourself more margin to hit the target. But yeah, I was conscious, and obviously sometimes when you don't quite give it enough, you maybe look like you've tried to play that 2 or 3 yard on shot, which is impossible. But it's more not quite getting into the runner rather than I felt more confident in that and trying to be flat out.
I was going to say, because you always come across as really confident on the green anyway. Did you just back yourself all of the time with that? Because you've said yourself, it's so easy to play those runners, and a lot of qualifiers for the first time probably shy away from playing them because they're frightened of dropping the big score. They don't want to play a shot and miss and then find that somebody's just pezzling the jack and you end up 3 and 4 down and you're under pressure. I think the style of play that you had this year, and Nicky's played in the past, and Cheddar's as well, you've just got to go in there 100% all the time, haven't you? You've just got to back yourself constantly to actually hit the head.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can't be. I don't think you can be playing defensive on there. Like you've got to be. If it doesn't work out, if you miss the runner two or three with your second and third bowl, then you've got to be in the mindset that you're going to draw a shot with your last. But obviously, I think you're probably better off playing that attacking way. And obviously, that was the mindset I had, that I was going to try and not let heads build against me if guys are on their length, sort of thing. Because obviously when they're playing their length, you're going with your second bowl, they've already played 2. That was a conscious thing. Obviously maybe not on your own length so much because you don't want to be giving them yards and yards of the last to be grabbing spare shots and stuff like that. But yeah, certainly was conscious of heads didn't lie great after 2 bowls. I was not afraid to be getting through it.
There are a certain point in the tournament as well, and I've got to agree with you with regards to having those pairs games on. Obviously, having the opportunity to play a couple of pairs games before my singles as well, I felt good going into the singles. But from your own point of view, was there a point in the tournament where you thought, I've got a big chance here? I mean, I know you always back yourself, and I'm not sort of trying to say that you don't, but I always think there's a point in a tournament as well where you just know things are rolling well and things were going your way. You had a lot of tied sets as well, which you were managing to obviously. I think you had, was it 5 tied sets that you had?
I think I won 2 sets and only lost 1, I think, out of the 10 sets I played.
Yeah.
Well, I think I won 3, drew 5, lost 1 or something like that. Yeah. But like all the games are going to be close. And you're trying to win everything. But after I beat Mark, I felt more confident because obviously when I played Greg, I had a week between games and you get all the chat about the green's going to change and this, that and the other. And I went home for a few days and you're basically starting again. Obviously you got that in the locker you played on there for a few games previously. But after I beat Mark, I felt like it was as it was before as such, the green. Then I say you're playing game after game, day after day. Yeah. Once I got back and felt like it was as I expected it to be, I still felt confident, obviously, going into the games.
Great stuff. No, it was great to watch. I mean, like I say, you never looked as if you played with any doubt throughout the whole competition, to be fair, from the games that I watched.
What I learned this time was feeling comfortable in what hand I was going to play on each length, and not everybody, like people watching me, were thinking we played the backhand all the game, but I felt confident of switching to the forehand when the length changed, and I already had that in my mindset before I went on the green, which I think was a big help. Obviously, you're out there playing, you don't really want to be thinking about too much, and I already had it in my head. if somebody goes this length, I'm playing this hand. If somebody goes this length, I'm playing that hand, sort of thing. Which is a big help. You don't really want to be thinking about too much when you're out there playing. You just want to be getting in the groove and obviously just putting bowls as close as you can end after end. And if you're worrying about scratching about thinking I can't get to the jack, that's detrimental to how you can obviously perform.
I totally agree. And I think I said it to you, Richard, didn't it? It was either yourself or Mally. And I said, it's the first time probably ever of me going down there. And whether it was having those pairs game beforehand or exactly what you've just said there, I didn't have to question what I was going to play. And I wasn't thinking I've got to stick to a certain hand all the time because that's the hand I'm playing better. It's the first time ever I actually started to play the balls, which were dependent on the length of the jack in a particular direction. So it would just be an automatic switch. You're right. People probably would go, well, he's just played 2 smokers down that hand, or, why is he switching? But there is just certain lengths on there that are just perfect for a particular hand. And you've just got to play what's best. And I totally agree. Taking that sort of thought process out of your mind and just knowing what you're doing just gives you that little bit of extra comfort. And especially with the shot clock as well, last thing you want to be doing is chopping and changing and wondering what to play when you've got a 30-second shot clock behind your back as well. What was the sort of feeling seeing, Jason, obviously, who you played in the final, had a phenomenal run. He was playing some great stuff, and I take my hat off to the lad because he was just rock solid all the way through.
Jason was fantastic all week. He didn't look out of place from game one there. The prelim when he played Darren, he played fantastic. Obviously, getting that game under your belt, he took full advantage when he played Skelly. Moving through it. Didn't look out of place there. His drawing ability is unquestionably, he's one of the best draw players you'll see.
It was his composure for me, mate, that stood out. I thought it stuck out like a sore thumb. He just never ever throughout the whole tournament looked as if he felt any pressure whatsoever. He never looked as if he was under any pressure whatsoever. The further he was going in the competition, I was saying to myself, this is where he's really gonna feel it. He's in the quarter-final stage now. He's potentially, you're getting closer and closer to that thing. But every single game that I watched, he just didn't seem to flacker at all.
No, and he did that in the semi-final against Mark. I had a chat with Mark after the game and that, and obviously it was a high-quality game, like most of the games were there. Mark's obviously thinking in the back of his head, Jason's gonna falter in a minute, getting towards the back end of a second set and the tie-break, and he's just going bang, front touch at first bowl. And that's what you've got to do against the top 16 guys. You've got to keep putting them under pressure. And like I say, Jason didn't look like he was too flustered at any point.
As David keeps saying, it's fine margins. The last couple of ends, jack bounces, you get the shot. Jason went through the wall twice, but yeah, it's fine margins, mate. Last end, Jason's playing his ball halfway up the green. Were you inside saying he's tight?
To be fair, I was. When he let it go, I thought he was really tight. But halfway up, I'm thinking he's still hanging on. There was my green bowl, I think he could have back edged, and I was thinking, Wayne had one earlier in the tournament where I thought, oh, he's tight, and then all of a sudden you think, oh no, there's bowls there that can be used, sort of thing. So I say that final, the few odd bits of moments where you needed a bit of fortune, they certainly went my way, but in a close game, you'll take it all day long. I didn't there was any outrageous flukes or whatever, but I say that second from last end in the second set, I've just got to hit the jack and hope that when the dust settles, it's fell all right. And because I left myself in a bit of a sticky situation, but yeah, those are the breaks you need. I've watched that tournament for long enough and know that it's never been plain sailing for anybody who's won it.
If the roles were reversed on that end where you ditched the jack, I think Jason had maybe a couple of seconds. Would you have had a little dabble at the ball, or would you have...
I think it was my toucher that followed it through, I think.
Was it? Right.
I think so, yeah. But it's one of them where, I don't know, Jason's thought process was about it, but Jason's up in the set, it's he just wants to go on and play his bowl. He must be thinking of a draw shot here, free it, playing the last. It's all good. Can't really be dwelling on shots. And now I've had a lot of people say to me, I can't believe Jason ran it with his last bowl. But it's he's got 2 seconds. He's gone through the gap twice. I know what shot I'd have been playing. So, yeah, there's a few things that I know I would have done differently. Yeah. Looking back, shots throughout certain games, thinking if I had a little bit more time to dwell over it, but you're in a process where you're just under the pressure with the clock.
Yeah. So would you get rid of the shot clock just as a matter of interest?
No.
Or would you extend the shot clock? Would you extend it? As in give...
there's a few tweaks. I think the only thing I've thought is when somebody takes a time out, the 60 seconds should just be added on from whenever they take it. Do you know what I mean? If they take it at 20 seconds, they got 80. Because a lot of times you see players, it gets down to 12, 13 seconds, and they're more worried about what the shot clock's doing than actually thinking about what's going on in the head. To me, I think it makes for a better viewing, and obviously takes a little bit of time to get used to in regards to maybe like following your second bowl up and being at the head and then watching your opponent's bowl coming down, see if it's going to be changing the head and getting back to the mat yourself. But I think what it does is it makes for better viewing, and that's the only thing. You don't really want to be standing there watching people standing in front of the head for 2 or 3 minutes.
I mean, we were watching the final. I'm going to dub him in here, Jamie. We were watching the final at West End, and he says, "Boy, you can tell Jamie's been down there for 11 days."
Oh yeah, yeah. The camera is not friendly.
Did you sort of like work your way through the shirt on as you were going in? Davey ended up with a 4XL by the time he was finished.
Yeah, they were running out of X's. I thought they must have.
You start off with a medium.
Oh, just saying at the start, man, it's so funny because you can tell the guys who's been in the tournament the longest because they just expand every game.
Yeah, certainly do.
Some full English, mate, and they good.
So we've just been looking at the ranking list, and obviously you're in 10 now. So obviously all the work over the years to obviously break in there must be a relief as much as anything else to know that you haven't obviously got to go through that slog again, and obviously it's justified for your performance down there. So your own point of view now, it must be nice to know that you're in there and you've got a crack every single time now.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. We all go to the qualifiers for and trying to be breaking into that mould. I mean, it's not the aim when you get to quals, I don't think. That was never in my mind that if I win 3 games, I might break into the top 16. It was, I went there to try and win. But obviously, that's the perks that come with getting far in the tournament. Obviously winning is probably the time where there was a lot of the guys in the bottom half of that top 16 that hadn't really got a lot of points. And I think that was the time going to the qualifiers this year. That's why the last couple of years, obviously getting through in Scotland and getting through the Potters last year, them little points, obviously they all tally up when the guys in the top 16 towards the bottom end are not picking up points. But yeah, it is tough. I mean, I really enjoy the qualifiers. I mean, you're playing 5-6 games a day against good quality opposition. I mean, I think Jason and me both got through to Potters on the last bowl at silly o'clock at night, but say the qualifiers seemed like they were really well supported this year, and I mean hopefully that proves what me and Jason have done, that the guys out there will still keep trying to go. All this closed shop stories that you always hear, I mean, people are getting the opportunities now with the re-entries into the qualifiers and that. I mean, I can only see it going one way in regards to other people breaking into the top 16.
They say it's the first time 2 qualifiers have been in the final, but what you look at the bigger picture and you're 2 international bowlers at the end of the day. You're not sort of like Tom, Dick and Harry that's come through a club bowler who's worked his way through up like Accrington Stanley. Apologise to any Accrington Stanley fans, but you are 2 quality bowlers.
And you take the international series, for example, you're going to have 96 players turning up there who are all international standard players that wouldn't look out of place if you put a top 16 event on. They can all play bowls on their day. I think the setup probably helps the top 16 guys, maybe with the way the Potters carpet plays. You go in basically to their green that they've played on year after year. Getting that advantage is obviously massive for them because they're all obviously quality players as well. It's like you go away to play anybody in a national on their own green. It's away from home. Football, rugby is always it's all the same. Like it makes it that little bit tougher. But obviously, the more games we've got on it this year, obviously helped. And yeah, delighted. And I mean, the guys at the top 16 and the WBT, I've only got good things to say about them. Tom, Gordon, Jason, Martin. I think they're pushing to the sport to head in the right direction. Obviously, COVID didn't help them, but things look. Then the word of mouth you hear around when you're at the event sounds really positive.
That's what I was just about to say. Actually, I mean, it's a big claim to make, but I genuinely feel that this tournament this year and the outcome of the tournament with you and Jason making the final, I think it's going to push the sport on, and I really think it's going to potentially create big things for the sport because, like I say, I think anybody sitting out there who's never tried PBAs before and maybe just thought, it's, we've all said it, and I've said it a few years ago. It was harder to break out of the top 16 than it was to actually get in it. But I've also said over the last couple of years, I mean, the progress has been phenomenal. We mentioned it earlier on. We had Paul Hartley on earlier on, who I was obviously in the pairs with, and we talked about the graft and the work that goes on down there by the WBT staff that people probably just aren't aware of. The steps in the direction that's been made over the last couple of years has been phenomenal, and I just think, I can only see it growing now, and I think, a testament to you two guys that you've gone through the rigors just like everybody else has, but I think you've just sort of summed up what we talked about prior to the tournament, that the quality of the qualifiers that are now starting to go through are just top-notch players. And the top 16 know it, and you can sense it now. There's no easy games down there now, where, no disrespect to others in the past, where I think there's potentially has been, and the top 16 have maybe had a little bit of an easy ride due to their knowledge on the green. But I genuinely feel that a lot of the players that are starting to get there now have all got possibilities to do the same as what yourself and Jason have, which I think is a great thing.
Yeah, I mean, the guys coming over from obviously overseas, some of them can be first time on the carpet. I thought the level of the Australians and the two Canadians who were over at this time, Cody played in the singles, obviously didn't play as well as he had done in the pairs, but Sean, the Aussie lad, gave Mark a hell of a game in the first round of singles, and some of the other games in the first round of singles, like you said, qualifiers, like Sam against Mike, like the quality of the game was just as good as any of those later in the tournament. And that can only be good when you've got so many games going on. It doesn't bode well for the sport when the quality is not as good from the start, but the quality is just getting, like the darts. You look over years have gone by, and the darts, the first round wasn't, the top 16, top 32 are going to walk through, but they don't anymore. People turning up from qualifying schools, and it's the same principle in the bowls. The better people getting through, the better quality of the matches, and it can only be good for the viewers and for getting sponsorships. And I think the positive words were from the guys and the sponsors, and the guys at Potters they thought it was the best year they've had there, so it can only be a good thing.
Richie, have you got anything else you want to ask?
Pass on me congratulations, mate, and look forward to 15 years down the line saying, is that Jamie Walker still in that bloody top 16? Is he still hanging on by his fingers?
Yeah. Like one game every year.
Yeah.
And the other one is, oh, man, I've seen a photo of you, Malibu and milk. I'm a big northerner, man. What's Malibu and milk?
Yeah. I think I've actually discovered that I'm lactose intolerant, so that could be the end of the Malibu and milk for now.
You want me and Jamie didn't become cheesecake intolerant?
Yeah.
We'll be buggers.
It's a great environment for obviously the bowlers who are there, but obviously the guests who are there, like being able to mingle and chat and come and say hello to the players and that. There can't be many other sporting events where that goes on behind the scenes. A few of the guys who come up later on in the tournament to support, they're definitely going to be coming for a few days next year. And a few hopefully non-bowlers just to see what the crack's all about. For
me, I think Potters need to change this bingo session where you're losing half the crowd disappearing at the end of the second set just as the tiebreak is about to happen. I thought that was one thing that I think needs to be given feedback on. And the other one for me is I think they need to potentially take the screens away from the bar area while the matches are going on to try and drive more people into there. Would you agree with that, or do you think it's a good option to have both?
I mean, yeah, obviously the bingo prime time there, but I mean, I'm sure the guys at Potters are more known to this. I know there's a few things that went on this year that were brought up, and they were more than happy to help the guys there that were bringing stuff up, and we're happy to listen and take on board what was going on. Yeah, the screens thing, I think obviously the second week, once it goes live on the BBC, it's sort of the crowds lift anyway, don't they? I think once you've got the finals going and this, that, and the other. But yeah, it's like this. But when you see maybe sort of half it full, but then in the bar there's enough to fill the stands, whatever, when you're in there. So maybe, yeah, I think probably that was something that was mentioned when we were there about the screens being off, or obviously you're all about the look of the sport, and it is slightly annoying. That there's enough to fill the stands and being there sat in the bar watching it on the telly.
And that's it again, it's something that a lot of people don't see and just think that it's just badly supported, which it certainly isn't, because that place is
place is heaving, isn't it, from day one.
All the time. Yeah. Well, mates, we'll not keep you much long. I know you've had a tough game in the thing. Oh, one last thing before you go, is it, when you said you went home in between, for a few days?
Yeah.
Am I right in thinking that you went to the Grand Prix and got battered?
That was on my journey back to that was on my journey back to Potters. I thought, I've obviously been asked to go and play in the Grand Prix, whatever, and that was my first time there. And I thought, well, that'd be all right. Lincoln's pretty quick. That'd be like Potters. Rocked in there, and felt heavy as hell. I was like, probably not going to do my chances any good. I did ask Tom and Brett to be kind by not lobbing the jack 39.5 metres rather than 29.5. But yeah, I mean, there were some good games that day. I think I lost every set last bowl, so I got all my bad luck out of the way. I got all my bad luck out of the way on that Tuesday before I went back to Potters.
I hadn't looked at the scores, but somebody had said that you'd popped into Lincoln to play the Grand Prix and you lost there, and then a few days later you win in the World Championship. Great stuff. With my little position on the PBA now, from a PBA perspective, I think it's amazing. As in what you've potentially the 2 years have done for PBA qualifiers. Anybody who's wanting to have a go, great stuff, man. And like I say, lap it all up, mate. I hope some great things come off the back of it, and potentially there might be a UK Open where no doubt you'll get an automatic invite for that, which is only rightly so. And if it does happen, then I'll hopefully see you up there.
Yeah, cheers, guys. All the best.
Cheers, Jamie. Thank you,
Thanks
mate. Well done, mate.
Cheers, guys.
And now we return to our chat with Paul Hartley.
We walked in there on the Friday night and you saw it looked tiny. I mean, I don't know what it's like for Paul being a newbie with the spectators so close. Do you feel a bit caged in?
I'll be honest with you, Rich, the spectators did not bother us. They weren't bothering us. It was the green that was like, yeah, you just had to concentrate on your balls really, because everybody who's played on it knows like just the slightest an extra flick of the finger and you're probably flying a yard through. Do you know what I mean? So it was more concentrating on your actual balls than worrying about what was happening in the crowd. Yeah. I mean, I just remember that first game, and just to see you two sitting in the front row, that was just you were the only two supporters we had in the whole arena, I think. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely the second game, mate.
And it was good to have just a couple of friendly faces, just to look at it if things was down a little bit, or just a little nod off Mally. I remember Mally gave us a couple of winks and all that nods. It was just nice. Yeah. You know what I mean? And, as the whole of the crowd, I mean, the game against Greg and Nicky, I mean, it seemed full. I know I never looked much, but it did seem quite full that game. Like,
there was a good crowd in, mate. And there were the crowd favourites, weren't there, really?
I can understand that. I mean, to be fair, there was now and again there was somewhere on the stand near the top end from opposite end from you. There was a couple of times David bowled and he was very unlucky, let's just say. He was very unlucky with his balls, and all I heard there was this person up at the top cheering. It's an article or some shit. I don't know what it means saying to you.
Me, Adam, where is he?
Oh, where? You know what I mean? But no, it was the crowd didn't affect us at all. Like, to be fair, it was the green. It was keep the concentration for the green, not for worrying about anything else. Can't affect the crowd, so.
Well, I have to admit, mind you, when you were walking down with the music on for the first one, there was a little bit of a tear in my eye. I was just over the moon to see you know what I mean? It was great to see two lads that I know walking down the green to the music with the smoke in the background coming out of Boltley's backside. And a bit of Kylie as well. What can you else go? I like to see he's batting the pairs, otherwise I'll not get back down.
The story me and Dave were getting together is like, it seemed as if it was never going to happen, wasn't it, mate? We decided about 3-4 seasons ago, I think it was. Yeah. David's personal life, his dad took bad and he had to drop out. So I got a sub in, and then me and the sub did really well. Me and Gary got Gary in, and we did really well. So I felt obliged to have another go the following year, and then we just so happened this year was the first year we managed to get together, and thankfully we did it for our first attempt. So I asked him when we got back to the room, Rich, I asked if we want to try again, and thankfully he said yes, we'll try again.
Definitely, yeah. Looking forward to it. You come out of there, you know, and it's that feeling of do all this all over again, but then it gets to the point where you start to think, right, I'm looking forward to the challenge again. I'm looking forward to having another go on.
Do you know what it is? I came away from Potters, like, you think you go down there and you get beat and you're down and all that. I've actually come away wanting to play all the time now. I'm like ready. Every game I've played since I've come back from Potters, I've been like really like excited to play and just trying to keep form going. And we've been good mates for a long time, a very long time.
Well, we started playing together when we were about. You'll have been about 22. I'll have been about 10.
You wish.
Aye, in your dreams, son.
We've had a lot of years together, mate. It's real high for me, mate. It seems a while ago now, but that last ball to actually to win the qualifier and get through was
that World Pairs qualifier. When we played, I think it was it our semi-final. I think we played, and we were playing two local lads on their own green on their own patch. They were absolutely right. They played really well, and there was that one shot which I'll never ever forget, where it was like, in my mind, you were going to hit it. In my mind, you were hitting it. We were down in the game. In my mind, you were hitting it, and you said, "No, I'm going to draw this shot." Drew within a millimetre. We never dropped another shot. We managed to win that second set and win 2-0. And then the final against Gary and Mark, 4 going into the last end. I think we were. We were late. We were 4 down.
Right.
And I remember that ball coming up, and I was thinking, "Oh my God!" To be fair, I just remember Gary behind us. He just went, "Well, ball, lads." As soon as he said that, I was like, "We've done this. Like, we've done it. He's done it." It's good when you come back and, like you say, people coming up to you and like saying, "I watched you, and you were excellent and all this," and like it does make you feel good that we put in a good performance. I don't think we embarrass ourselves, mate.
No, definitely, and that's what I sort of said when we're down there. There's nothing worse than going and having that opportunity, and it's great to have the opportunity, but if you let yourself down by playing badly, you'd come away from there and I think it would play on your mind a lot. But I think if you can play well, it's such fine margins. If you can play well and you put up a good show, and people, you know what you're capable of, have watched and basically made those comments about it was a great game and you played well. It is nice. It takes a little bit of the bitterness away from losing.
Anyway, I've got a bit of a surprise for the 2 years. It's a bit like This Is Your Life. We've got a mystery guest coming on. Now, he's from our experience at Potters, so here we go.
That's Mally.
Well, is it Mally? Because we've got a story here, like, haven't we, David? The first night we were all in the same room together. You got up the next day, Richie, and we're whinging like hell about your roommate because he was snoring. Yeah, so we were winding Mally up all day. House snored all night. So the next day, we were up early, ready for our game, and all we could hear was this loud snoring. And we were like, Jesus, no wonder Richie was whinging. Mally's snoring like hell there. And then Mally walks into our room about 30 seconds later. It's you.
Well,
so was that you snoring there, or was it Mally?
That one was definitely Mally, that one. I had the phone right on his gob.
It was like a zoo, that blooming accommodation for a week.
And you know what, Paul? He still had that big room to himself. He didn't let either of us in.
Oh, that was it. You put that 2 single beds together on a big double bed for himself, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I was still in the cot. I was in the smallest bed, 6'6" and 10 stone wet through. It was a great few days, mate. Really enjoyed it.
I haven't played on the carpet now. I'll never ever criticise a player who plays on there and has an off ball or whatever. You know what I mean? Because it's so easy to just miss that little bit of line or that little bit of pace, and sometimes it just makes you look silly. You're just fractions out of being perfect. It's such a fight from being brilliant or just.
But then on the flip side of that as well, though, when you're actually on the portable plane, and some of your balls that you think absolutely miles away, when you watch them on the telly again, hey, actually they weren't that bad.
It wasn't that bad. And maybe that was right, because I remember at the time when I finished, I was like, I was sick of flaming dropping them a yard short and went on the telly, but you only looked about a foot. I was like, oh.
It distorts all the angles, and that's why I looked about 4 stone heavier than what I am.
Oh, I've gone that far, like.
Yeah,
The cameras only put £1 on you.
She says, David came back and said, did you say yes? I'm going on a diet. She says, I don't want anything to eat and all that. And then she went, yeah, I'll have a coffee and a chocolate bar. I'll start next week.
There's definitely 52 Mondays in the year. And every one of them, I keep saying that's the one I'm going to start. Great stuff, mate. Well, thanks for coming on, mate. It's obviously we've asked you several times and you keep turning us down, but it's nice for you to turn up for once.
No worries. I had a 5 minutes spare.
Right, mate, there we go. Show 47 over and done with. We had Mr. Hartley on, and we've had the world champion on as well. Two very good interviews. But before we go, I've got one question left. There was an incident in the World Championships, which everybody might have seen. Jason Greenslade playing Jason Banks. Jason Greenslade, no timeouts. He stopped because there was a noise. He then got on the mat again. He stopped again because there was another noise, and the shot clock timed out. He then was left there standing with his ball in his hand, looking at the umpires. To me, he put the umpires on the spot. Me personally, I thought he should have given his ball up, mate. We did put a question on our Facebook page, in which we got 200 replies, and I think it was probably a mixture of 50-50 whether he should have been allowed to play the ball or he should have given the ball up, mate. It's
that whole thing. It's what we talked about earlier on about the noise and things that you can hear in the crowd. And
I think the sporting thing they're doing, and it's no criticism of it, to be honest, but I thought he should have given the ball up. He put young Jason Banks in a little bit of a position because he looked at Jason, and Jason obviously he's not going to say, "Well, I never heard an out." He says, "Well, there was a noise there." I'd say give the ball up, like.
Well, like I say, I think it reverts back to what we talked about earlier on. It'll be nice if anybody listening to this obviously puts their comments on what the thoughts are. So obviously you've got Jamie there who's basically saying he likes the 30-second shot clock.
Yeah.
My comment prior to that is I think if you were allocated an amount of time in the end and what you've said's obviously happened, then I think I would have no qualms in turning around and saying, well, yeah, give the ball back. But then you looked across the course of the end, I would be surprised if he's used his full quarter, 1 minute 30 up prior to that last ball.
Yeah.
And he thinks something's happened. And this is what I mean. It just, for all it's a great thing and it keeps the game ticking along and it keeps the pace up, when it comes to those little bits and pieces there, that's where it just falls down a little bit for me. It's the critical part at the end. I wouldn't even mind if they turn around and says, right, you've got like 15 seconds for your first two balls and then you've got 45 seconds for your last two balls. I just think something needs to be done which doesn't allow that type of scenario to happen where you're literally buzzed out of this is a decision that's going to have to be made. Do you give your ball back or give you... I am sitting on the fence there a little bit, I know, which...
I know. I can see the splinters are going to be pulling them splinters over a fortnight, yeah. Well, I'm going to throw a hand grenade in straight away because I'd like to see the shot clock in for the pairs. So, moving on, before we go...
I agree with that.
Eh?
I agree with that, actually.
Yeah.
On the same basis of what we've talked about.
Yeah.
I agreed with you. There was a couple of times in the pairs where there is people walking up and down the green to discuss. You've got somebody up there telling you what to do. It's not like you've got 7 balls up at the head and you cannot see what's happening.
Yeah.
It's not like you cannot see what's going on. Right? You've got literally all of the space and you've got somebody telling you what's going on. To go up and then have a full discussion is just ridiculous.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll move you along just quickly and just say, well, at least one of us predicted the winner of the World Indoor Championships. In fact, I do believe that I predicted both finalists.
Yeah, because in the last podcast, you sat there and you went, yep, I'm quite confident that Jamie Walker and Jason Banks are going to get to the final. You're not having it. You're not having it.
I said qualifier and plus Jason, Mr.
The only thing I'm going to give you is that you turned around and said you fancy the qualifier to win it this year. But I'm not having you taking the glory because at the end of the day, I expect you to name that qualifier like we have to.
Well, Mr. Parkinson put the heck on Darren Weir. He went out early. You put the heck on Sammy. Sammy went out. Les Gillett put the heck on Sammy and Wayne, I think. They went out. So there you go. I'm taking it. I'm having it.
I actually messaged. I messaged somebody prior to the final and somebody went, what a fantastic thing this is, having 2 qualifiers in the final. I went back and I went, no, it's not. No, it is not. I'm not having it. Because Mackay tipped the fact that there was going to be a qualifier. And not only has he got 1, he's got 2 of them. That's an absolute disgrace.
I'm not having it. Not having it. Right. Anyway, that's it, mate. That's it. It'll be short and sweet. This one, won't it? I think we've been recording for 2 days. Right, thanks, folks. Catch you soon. We'll have another one out in a month's time.
So you will take care, everybody, and all the best.
Now, I'm not wanting to gloat boldly, but here are those predictions.
So we've got Les going with Wayne and Sam. We've got Jason going with Sam and Darren Weir. We've got myself, who's Sam, and I'm going to chuck in Mark Royal into that pot because I think Mark's going to be fighting for his place this year, and Richie's just gone for everybody.
Everyone.
So, one one of them will win. Yeah, definitely. I'm positive one of them will actually win in the end. So that's Richie's.
Have you got it?
And finally, during our 2021 Boxing Day podcast, Roasting Our Nuts, we had Alex Marshall and Jason Parkinson on, previewing the 2022 championships. Alex came out with this. Have you got the lottery numbers for 12 months' time, mate?
I think a dark horse, not a dark horse, but a guy whose first time he's ever been in the World Championships is Jamie Walker. We all know how good Jamie Walker is as a player. I think Jamie Walker is certainly one person to look out for. As I say, he's never been involved in the event before, so he's not going to be fazed by anybody at all. If he can play the way that he can normally play, I think Jamie Walker, he's got the potential to win the whole event. If he plays well and gets the wee breaks along the way, there's no reason why he can go on to win the World Indoor Singles.
Thank you for listening and hope you've enjoyed the show.
This has been a Dodgy production.